Remember the excitement of cracking open a fresh pack of Pokemon cards as a kid? Now that I'm back into collecting, around about 1 year now, there are so many things I've learned that I wish I knew before diving in again. And today I'm going to share 11 tips that every collector, new or returning, needs to know to make the most out of their Pokemon card collection journey. From organizing your collection to knowing which cards to look out for, stick around because these tips will save you time, money, and most importantly, enhance your collecting journey. One of the biggest things I wish I knew before jumping back into Pokemon card collecting is how important it is to research the sets before you start collecting it. Back in the day, we only had like a handful of sets like base set, jungle, fossil, but now there are dozens of sets released each year, and each set has its own unique cards and themes. So are you after nostalgia with reprints like Celebrations, or are you more interested in the latest sets like Surging Sparks? Make sure you know what's in each set before you decide to start buying booster packs or singles. Otherwise, you might end up spending money on cards that don't fit your collecting goals. Also, don't forget to check the rarities in each set. Some sets have special secret rares or shiny walls that are super exciting to collect, like Hidden Fates or Shiny Fates. When I first got back into collecting, I would just throw my cards into a box like I did when I was a kid. But what I learned quickly is that organizing your collection probably makes a huge difference, especially as your collection is growing. And there are a few great ways to do this. You can organize by set, by Pokemon type, so with the color you can see it then also, or even by rarity. I like to use binders where I store them per set, and bulk cards, which are the commons, uncommons, and also the normal rare cards, I store in the ETBs, so the Elite Trainer boxes or Top Trainer boxes. If your collection grows, it becomes important to label also your boxes and binders. Otherwise, you quickly use the overview of it, and so you can then easily flip through different sets and know exactly where each card belongs. Binders not only protect your cards, but make it easy also to admire your collection as well. Another tip, make sure to use sleeves and top loaders for your rare or valuable cards so they stay in mint condition. I do this for every art rare, ultra rare, or special illustration rares, or also the shiny cards if there are some in the set. There's nothing worse than realizing one of your favorite cards has been damaged from improper storage. This will also destroy the value of your cards, which can easily be avoided. One of the most fun parts of collecting Pokemon cards is trading with other collectors. But there's definitely some trading etiquette that I wish I knew when I first started trading again. First off, it's a good idea to have a trade binder with cards you're willing to part with. This makes it easy for others to see what you are offering without digging through your personal collection. Next, always try to make fair trades. A lot of people use websites like TCG Player, Card Market, or eBay Sold listing to check the current value of cards, and you should do this too. If you are new to the hobby and you don't know which set a specific card is from, it could sometimes be a bit hard to find the cards on Card Market or TCG Player, since there are many versions of one specific Pokemon. For example, for Charizard there are far over 100 versions from different sets in the TCG, so it could be a bit tricky to find the correct one. In this case, you can use my website, neosatoshi.com, and identify your cards with just uploading a photo from your cards with just your smartphone. So generally, it's important to know the approximate value of your cards and the cards you're willing to trade with, so both sides feel like they are getting a good deal. Finally, never pressure someone into a trade, and don't feel bad if you don't make a trade that day. Trading is meant to be fun and mutual also. One of the mistakes I made early on was trying to collect every set. With so many sets being released, it can feel like you need to catch them all, but trying to collect every single card from every set is not only expensive, but it's impossible, or nearly impossible. Instead, focus on the sets or themes that you really love. For example, if you're a fan of the original 151 Pokemon, like me, you might also enjoy sets like the 151 set from last year, or Celebrations that feature the classic Pokemons. Or if you love Evolutions, sets like Evolving Skies are packed with awesome VMAX and illustration rare cards of those Pokemon, but unfortunately they got a bit expensive. By narrowing your focus, you will enjoy the hobby more and feel a sense of accomplishment as you complete your collection. And hey, if you ever want to branch out into other sets, you can always do that later on. I now often skip sets completely if I do not like the cards, or only very few, which I would then just buy. And I then spend my money on booster packs for the sets I really like. Pokemon card collecting can be a solo hobby, but it's even more fun when you're part of a community. Whether it's going to local card shops, joining Facebook groups, or participating in Pokemon events like conventions or tournaments, you'll find that the Pokemon card community is super welcoming. Plus, being part of the community opens up opportunities for trades, learning about new sets, and even finding out about special events like pre-release tournaments and other stuff. It also helps you stay informed about upcoming releases and community trends like what sets are hot or what cards are rising in popularity. So don't be shy, get out there and connect with other collectors. When I first got back into collecting, I didn't realize how important proper card protection was. But if you want your cards to stay in mint condition, investing in sleeves, top loaders, and a good binder is a must. For the more common cards or cards you're not planning to sell, simply penny sleeves work great, but so they really cost 1 cent if you buy them in bulk. But for your rarer cards or favorite pieces, using a sleeve and a top loader will keep them in the best condition possible. And if you're storing cards in binders, make sure to get exit-free and PVC-free materials to avoid any long-term damage to your collection. Think of it this way. Proper protection today means your cards will retain their value and the condition for years to come. One thing I wish I knew sooner was that buying singles is always a smarter and more affordable way to complete your collection. Sure, there's something magical about opening booster packs and hoping to pull chase cards, but realistically, the odds are pretty low. For example, if you're chasing a card like Charizard VMAX from Shining Fates, it could take hundreds of dollars worth of packs to pull one. But instead, you could buy the single card for far less and save the pack chasing for fun. I would recommend buy 1 or maybe 2 displays of a set when it's released if you like it, and then buy the missing ones as singles from BCG Player or Card Market, so if you want to have the master set of it. That way you get the card you want without the extra cost and disappointment of pulling duplicates or cards you don't care about. How much you save on buying singles instead of pulling it yourself depends on each set and the pull rates of the set. Usually the older the set, the better you are buying singles instead of ripping the boosters. For newer sets, it is still beneficial to buy singles, but the loss is mostly not extremely high. Maybe you lose half of your money there on average, but it also depends on the set. As your collection grows, it's super helpful to have a way to track what cards you have. There are a bunch of awesome apps and websites that let you input your collection and see what cards you still need. Apps like Collector or Pokédata.io let you stay organized and know which cards you're still missing from a set. It also helps when you're trading because you will know exactly which cards you have duplicates of and which ones you're hunting for. For example, here I tracked which cards I'm missing from my 151 master set. I still want to complete it by pulling the cards myself, so I can't disrespect the prior point, but it is a special feeling if you can complete it only with pulling and trading with cards you pulled yourself and not buy a single one of them. But I only do it for sets that I really love. For others, I usually do it as recommended in the prior point and just buying them in the singles and open 1 or 2 displays of it. Trust me, once you hit a few hundred cards or even thousands of cards, tracking then becomes essential. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that FOMO, fear of missing out, can hit hard in this hobby. It's easy to see a new set drop or a limited edition card and feel like you need it right now. But the reality is you don't need everything right away. Some cards and sets will be easier to find and cheaper to buy later on. So take your time, prioritize what's important to you, and don't let the pressure of FOMO push you into overspending or washing your collection. At the end of the day, Pokemon card collecting should be about fun. Sure, some cards are worth a lot of money, but don't lose the sight of the joy you get from building your collection. Whether it's completing your favorite set or just pulling cards for nostalgia, make sure you're collecting for the right reasons. When I first got back into it, I was so focused on getting the rarest cards that I forgot why I love Pokemon cards in the first place. The artwork, the memories, and the excitement of the hobby when you're pulling the cards. So as we all know, our collections will have a value, and this will stack up every time we buy new cards or we buy new booster packs. And it's therefore okay to try to find a good balance between collecting and investing. That's why I go usually for cards that I really like by myself. So I never buy a card if I don't like it, even if it might sound like a good investment opportunity. For example, I don't like any of the rainbow cards, so I only buy them if I really have to, because I want to have a master set completed, where the rainbow cards are included. But I never will buy them as singles or with an investment perspective. When I got back the first time to Pokemon TCG, I think it must have been around 2018 or something like this, I didn't realize just how many different types of cards there were. As a child, there were only base rarities and nothing more. No, there's a whole hierarchy of card types that influence also the price. The old cards of the rare type are not really the new rares in the modern set. So let's start with the basics here. Every set has common, uncommon and rare cards, just as with the vintage cards. Common cards are the ones you'll see most in packs, and while they might have nostalgic or artistic value, they usually don't hold much monetary worth. Uncommon cards are a step above, but again their value remains low. Then we get to rare cards, which are marked by a star symbol at the bottom of the card. The rare cards can vary widely in value depending on the set and the condition, but they are usually in modern sets not worth much, but sometimes in sets where many folks collecting the master set, they can be worth a bit, but usually far below $1. For vintage cards, the pricing structure is completely different and also heavily depends on the card's condition. Be honest, who of us used the card sleeve or even know about something like this as we collected as childs? And this is why so many vintage cards are in bad shape, and no one expected that they be something worth in the future. So beyond these, you've got holowares, where the image of the Pokemon has a holographic effect. That's why they are called holos, obviously. Then the reverse holos, where everything except the image is holographic. The reverse holos, or sometimes called parallel set cards, are the first cards that haven't been there in the vintage sets. They was introduced after the Neo series in the Legendary Collection, which came before the E-Card series. The reverse holos and holos sometimes have a value, and it can range from a couple of cents to a few dollars for modern cards, and to much more for older cards, especially if they feature popular Pokemon like Charizard. But then there's a whole other world, full art cards, ultra rares, secret rares, special illustration rares. All these cards exceed the set number. For example, a card might be numbered 155 of 150, making them extra rare and often worth more. For example, full art cards, also called illustration rares, cover the entire face of the card with cool designs and are highly sought after by collectors. One of the most confusing types when I started was the rainbow rare cards. These are versions of full art cards but with a rainbow colored finish. While not everyone loves the design, just as me, they tend to be valuable. It's also important to note that FOMO cards, which are often released as special event giveaways or included in collection boxes, can sometimes hold significant value over time, especially if they are tied to special events or anniversaries. They have the black star, so they're often called black star promos. Understanding the difference between these card types will not only help you appreciate the art and design more, but also guide you on which cards to prioritize and how to evaluate the value of your pulls. If you're serious about collecting, take the time to understand how each card fits into the bigger picture of the Pokemon TCG market, and whether you are in it for fun or looking to make an investment. Knowing these details will help you make more informed decisions. There is a very nice video on another YouTube channel which I found last week, where every rarity is explained in more detail, and I will leave you the link in the description and feel free to take a look. It's a very good explanation of every rarity in the set. So those are the 11 things I wish I knew when getting back into Pokemon card collecting. Hopefully these tips help you build your collection with more fun and less stress. If you have any tips or things you wish you knew earlier, Drop them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Pokemon card content. And I'll see you in the next video.